The next year, what I did
We
was
are
I
at
kept
the
going to cover the
libertarian
state. I
debate
did every single
in
campaign I
LA.
can, and I supported all the local people who
FYI,
were running
Vermin
locally.
Supreme and other people are talking.
Now, as you know, if you run locally, you're running city council, you're running something like that. Very often, what happens is the press doesn't cover you. They ignore you. When all of a sudden the gubernatorial candidate comes by, the press shows up. They want to ask me questions. What do? Don't ask me questions. Ask this cool local candidate questions. And instead now, the top of the ticket now supports the bottom of the ticket. The thing that we have to remember in our movement is top of the ticket gets the most press, even though it has the least chance of victory, but it always gets the most press. The bottom of the ticket has the best chance of victory, but gets the least press. So if we share that press bottom of the ticket, we get wins. I talked about that for years. Most of you ignored me, but I talked about it for years. But then I actually did it, because the first year that we actually had ballot elections in New York State, we had never had an elected libertarian ever. We had 103 victories. Yeah. 103 victories. And most importantly, we got a victory in New York City. Wow. There is an elected libertarian in New York City.
Deborah Altman.
I'm sorry?
Deborah Altman.
That's correct, Deborah Altman. She is exactly from Staten Island. That's correct. So we actually have one in New York City. I bring this up because this really matters. Why does it matter so much? Because this year everyone's talking about, oh my God, the battleground states of Michigan, the battleground states of Pennsylvania, and the battleground states of Ohio. All garbage. Not true. None of it's true. It's a battleground state if you decide who's going to be your king. Do I want a left king or a right king? Which one do I want? Or queen? Right? What monarch do I want? But the reality of it is, those aren't battleground states. The battleground states are New York and California. Yeah. Because that's where the government pushes to the most, to the max. Whenever it happens in New York and California, that goes to the rest of the country. We are the battleground states, New York and California. We are the vanguard. We are the tip of the spear. If we can make impact here, we can affect the entire nation. If we can win here, we can affect the entire world. You guys know California is the 5th largest economy on the planet. Imagine what happens when we make movements, when we make impact in California. It affects the world. So I'm asking you, during this presidential year, President matters, of course it does, and local matters, of course it does, and whoever is our nominee in the future, that matters, but supporting the down ticket matters even more, because every place where we fight and hold in these 2 states, New York and California, affects the entire nation. Let's never forget that. Thank you. Now, for us to do that, for us to actually make that impact, the one thing that many of us have learned is we actually don't want to fight. I don't want to say, I'm going to fight the left, I'm going to fight the right. That doesn't often work. I want to join them. I want to bring them to us. These are our neighbors, our friends. We have to bring them to us so that we can actually win. I want you to think about something. November this year, whether Trump wins or Trump loses, think about our country. If Trump wins, half the country says, oh, it was the Russians. If Trump loses, half the country goes, oh, it was a deep state. Doesn't matter. Either way, half the country says, our president is illegitimate. That's a problem. No matter who wins, no matter what. All those unhappy people, what are they going to resort to? Well, some will resort to silly sporadic violence, and some will just check out and resort to apathy. Who cares? Does it matter? We see it everywhere. We have to be a home for those people. We have to be the place where they come when they feel that sense of desperation that they're going to feel in November of this year. And we can do that with the right message. And the person I'm bring up right now is someone who's all about that. She talks about the right message. She's part of organizations that talk about the right message. She wants us all to grow and be strong. And that person is Janine Rose.
It's a tough act to follow.
So I've been in the political realm, so I know where you guys are at mentally. You want to convince people to join, you want the votes. Been there, I've been a candidate. In the last year, I've taken a step back and I've thought about how can we actually shift the culture. So that's where my focus is right now. So there's a banner up on one of these walls for the Foundation for Harmony and Prosperity, and that's the organization that I work with now. And we're focused on how do we make exactly what he said happen. So we want people to come over to what we're doing, and using the we're half Republican, we're half Democrat, that's not going to work. People don't want to give up half of their values in order to join our organization. So what I want to say is that our universal value should be respect for people's choices. So you can live whatever life you want to live, and you can be who you want to be. And the people that are coming in need to understand that we're not going to reject them because of their difference in values. So if we respect their values and we want them to join, they'll feel that. And that goes across all of the demographics of diversity. So when we feel open and inclusive, other people feel that too. And I think that that's already changing. You can see this is a pretty large group for the California Party, and I think people will be rolling in throughout the weekend, and that's going to make a big difference because it shows a different face to the Libertarian Party than even I've seen in the last 6 years. So one of the projects that we're working on, and we're really excited to have this asset. I work with the advocates also. Have you guys seen the world's smallest political quiz? Yeah, I've used it in tabling since I started in politics. So this organization actually had the asset libertarianism.com, and it's never been developed. So we're in the process of developing that. Emily and Manuel are here. They're gonna pass out a sign-up list so you guys can get involved on the very beginning. Basically, our target audience is libertarians, and we're talking to them about messaging. It's not about changing people's values, but it's about respecting their own life choices, assuming that people are responsible for their own lives and that they're going to have their own path, and that's okay. And we don't need to use politics to force them to change what they're trying to do in their lives. We see, right now it's just a battle, right? And I don't want to see it devolve into civil war. I want to see us lift up and transcend, and that's what I'm really excited about, is seeing people set aside the fight to divide and start fighting for something better. Like, we want to see a vision of humanity that's going to evolve society and our culture. So that's what we're here to do. We're going to be here throughout the weekend. You can talk with us. Manuel's going to talk tomorrow. He's been leading a lot of this, the libertarianism.com project. So talk to Emily, talk to myself, talk to Manuel, and any questions you have about messaging, we're writing up issues. One of the main things that I'm intent on is having a pathway, so people don't just think, oh, we shift to libertarianism and then what happens? It's complete anarchy, right? Which I know you guys aren't scared of the word anarchy. I'm certainly not. But that pathway of how people don't get dropped off the cliff when that shift changes is really important, and that includes so many things that allow people to transition without being harmed, because we're not about harming people. And I think that focus when we're messaging, especially as candidates, is going to help when we're in dicey situations. I've personally been talking to thousands of people over the years, and I found that when I say, we don't want to harm people, we don't want to take their stuff, that resonates with people. And then when you're talking to moms and baristas and like normal people in the clubs, like, they don't want to hear about fighting. They want to hear, how are we going to live our lives in peace, have that harmony, have the prosperity, which is what our foundation is all about, without the divisive politics, like with the splitting up of you're right, you're wrong. That's not what we're about. We need to be bringing people together, and we can do that with the messaging. We have the best product. We have the best messaging. We have to sell the benefits and the features of what we're doing, not just like, I love live free or die. I love don't tread on me, all of those things. That's my kind of libertarian. But there's also an inclusive libertarian that leads to vibrant communities and, natural regulation. And yeah, These are the things that we need to be selling. So any questions you guys have? I know there's a lot of candidates. We have massive amount of presidential candidates, which I'm excited to hear from. If you guys have questions about how we're messaging, just let me know. And then anybody else in the room, I know we have down ticket candidates too. So back to the room.
Yes, it's messaging, messaging, messaging. I cannot tell you how important that is. It doesn't matter what you say if somebody doesn't want to hear it, right? If someone doesn't want to hear it, it doesn't matter. There's an old saying, and that is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It is emotion first and then logic. People often say, don't you want to be logical? Yes, after they want to hear what I have to say, we have to be emotional first. And I'll talk about something emotional to me right now, if I could. Some of you know about my personal story. My mother. My mother was an addict. My mother was a convicted felon. And I love my mother tremendously. And when I was in the Marine Corps is when she got put away. And when I got out, I pulled her out of prison. And when I pulled her out of prison, it's a woman who had built herself up from nothing and had a house and had a car and everything was the American dream. Her husband, my father, died when I was a kid. She fell apart. Initially, it was legal drugs and eventually illegal drugs, and then eventually, you know what happens when that happens. So I pulled her out and she had 2 garbage bags. That's all she had. That was her entire life. So I set her up. I took the money I'd saved from the Marine Corps, I set her up, got her an apartment, got her a house, and got her up and running. But what I remember happening consistently is she couldn't get a job. She would purposefully lie on every form and say, nope, not a felon, nope, not a felon, nope, not a felon, hoping that they wouldn't check. And when she got a job, she was a hostage because she thought someone's gonna come by and tell and show and they're gonna fire me, and if I lose this job, I can't get another one. So she was a hostage. I hated my mother being a hostage. I hated it. And that was the reason why I became an entrepreneur. I was a Marine and an English teacher. I wasn't an entrepreneur. It's not what I was. I became an entrepreneur because I knew that if you're an entrepreneur, you control your destiny, you're the boss. So I started a trucking business. I ran the business and I made her 100% owner. I didn't own any of it. Mom was basic dispatcher, but she was the owner, 100%. Why? Because if she's the owner, no one can fire her. She was no longer a hostage. The key was 2 things. 1, the ability to get a second chance, and 2, understanding that entrepreneurship is the way to that second chance. It is the way of self-ownership. It is the way of making the next step and hiring and growing and being a better person. Why do I tell you that story? Because America is about second chances. Many people who came here for a second chance, right? The first sons didn't come here. The first sons all kept their money and property in Europe. The second sons came, right? Third sons came. That's when came over here. Some of us came in chains. Our second chance came after slavery. That was our second chance. This is all about second chances. It's what it's about. And as a person I'm bringing up right now is someone who understands exactly that, who understands the strength of entrepreneurship, understands the power and the value of second chances, not just 1 second chance, 2, 3, 4, 5 second chances. Is that 3rd, 4th, 5th chances? Whatever that is. Lots of chances. Someone who understands that is going to talk to you about that. Someone even more importantly, who understands what the phrase keep banging actually means. It means keep banging down on those doors. It means keep knocking on those doors. It means keep trying. It means keep pushing. It means don't stop. I talked earlier about what I did when I ran. I didn't stop. I'm still not stopping. I'm still here. I'm still banging. Yes. The person I'm going to bring up right now is someone who is the keep banging candidate. He is the candidate who, he hopes, of course, with some money, some support, some luck, some viral content, will be the next president of the United States, Mark Whitney.
Big round of applause for Larry Sharp, everybody. And also Janine. How about it for Janine? So what do we got? Democrats or Christians? Who am I talking to here tonight? I can't. It's great to be here tonight with so many friends of freedom. I've got my family here, I got my team here tonight. But I do want to just take a minute to talk about the origin of this Keep Banging hashtag. I grew up in a little town, Hubbardton, Vermont, 200 people, 199 when I left. They had to change the sign. And my mom was the only vote for McGovern in that town in 1972. And there was one vote, and she had a bumper sticker that said, "Don't blame me, I voted for McGovern." But I met my wife in the 6th grade. I've known her since then. This is our 42nd Valentine's Day, and thank you very much. Julie was valedictorian of our high school class, and I was class clown. And for some reason, she decided to marry me. That's the only thing she is guilty of. But my first job out of high school was selling vacuum cleaners door to door for Electrolux. And I would knock on the door. I knock on 3 or 4 doors. I look at the manager, and he would just say, "Keep banging. You're some unknown number of no's away from yes," right? And so as an entrepreneur for 40 years, if I've learned one thing, you just keep banging, you just take a lot of action, you commit, right? There's some short list of reasons why we decide to throw a lot of action at something, and all you have to do is take that first step and just keep your mind open to the unknown reasons that reveal themselves along the way. And that has served me so well as an entrepreneur. So 20 years later, when I was 40, I started a company called the Law.net Corporation, which democratizes the law for attorneys on Main Street, USA. So they can see the law from Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine for $50 a month. Because one of the things I learned in my 20s when I lost a company, there was a lot of litigation, is there's actually a caste system in the legal research industry in the United States. If you work for the government or large international corporations, you get to see all the law. But if you're just a regular lawyer on Main Street, USA, it's like $500 a month just to see your state law and your federal districts. But they can't afford to pay Westlaw and LexisNexis, the 2 multinational conglomerates that are not even from the United States, that take our laws and massage it and sell it back to us at usurious prices. So the Law.net solves for that problem for 40,000 lawyers who make it possible for me to stand here and run for president. So what I'm trying to say is, let's hear it for the lawyers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's God bless the lawyers. Because every time a lawyer gives me an American Express, angels sing. Ah! You can hear them. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And for those of you who are hearing me speak for the first time, if you're suspicious of me, the reason you should be suspicious is that I'm trusted by lawyers. Okay, so that's, if you give me a minute, my family's here tonight. I'd like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the next First Lady of the United States, the lovely, the talented Julie Whitney. Can we give her a big round of applause, please? Here we go. There she is. Again, it's our 42nd Valentine's Day together, and I think we might have some roses somewhere in the coming up here for you. I think we might have 42 of them. There we go. If I wasn't running for president, it would be a dozen. But, you know, I'm running for president, so you gotta do. I gotta tell you something about Julie. She's been really the one that's been running our company for the last 15 years while I've been out running my mouth talking about human rights and civil liberties and all that good stuff. But in December, at age 60, she doesn't mind me saying that because this is her real hair. No color, right? At age 60 last month, December actually, Julie got her law degree. She got her law degree, and she graduated number 2 in her class, salutatorian. And there you go. And Julie's maiden name, a Polish name, Delicat, and so she is JD now. There you go. And this is my short, fat son, Chris. And Chris is an entrepreneur in his own right. When he was 18, he invented an Xbox repair kit when his Xbox broke, and it went viral, and he just kept rolling it over and bootstrapping that company. What I did when I started my first company in my 20s, I got a bunch of Ben & Jerry's stores. My goal was to be a millionaire by the time I was 35, come out here, do 5 minutes of stand-up, and get the Tonight Show. That was literally my plan. None of that worked out. I lost the company, lost everything I had. But one of the great things, I stand here tonight on the shoulders of my sons, who were both financially independent before they were 35 years old. No interest to banks, no loans, no family money, all on their own. They did it the libertarian way. And my oldest son, Michael, he is really good at getting people to click on things. In his business career, he has purchased over $1 billion of advertising trying to get you people to click on things. And so other than that, we're just a completely normal family who moved 20 years ago from Vermont when we attained the age of reason. So you give them all a big round of applause, and you guys can have a seat. Thank you. Yeah, so one of the things people have been asking me, they go, Mark, now that you're running for president, what are your top 3 issues? So simple: war, war, and war. The trade war, the drug war, the war on terror. I'm the only citizen to have sued a president to end the participation of U.S. armed forces in a foreign civil war. When Barack Obama woke up a few years ago, and I don't know what happened, I don't know what was going on with him and Michelle, but he woke up a few years back and he decided he was going to shoot about 7,000 Hellfire missiles into the nation of Libya, which is a foreign civil war, which the United States has no business being involved in. He said it was a limited kinetic action, and I said, the hell it is. And I sued him. I spent $60,000 of my own money. We were in court for 9 months. And what the judge did in that case and one other case like it, brought by Jonathan Turley on behalf of 4 congressmen, is they sat on those cases and they waited for Muammar Gaddafi to be killed, and they dismissed them as moot. But there's a punchline in this case. Obama's lawyers actually argued, because we had them so dead to rights on the fact that war was being waged without authorization from Congress. We had them so dead to rights that his lawyers actually argued that the Supreme Court has never defined war, so who really knows what war is anyway? That was their argument. That was their argument. And so my son Chris, when my son Chris invented his Xbox repair kit, he got remanufactured proprietary screws and washers and parts from China. And the way he did that, it's a great free trade store. He was friends with Wilson, who he played video games with in Beijing. And when he needed, and so I asked Wilson to hook himself up with some Chinese engineers, and next thing we know, our garage is filled with Chinese parts, and he had a customs agent, and he grew a $15 million Amazon store from money he saved working at In-N-Out. That is a libertarian story right there. I'm so proud of these guys, you know? So, in my 20s, I purchased the franchise rights to Ben & Jerry's in Vermont. It was a big deal. I grew up in Vermont. Ben & Jerry's went public. And when I borrowed money from the banks, I gave the banks a couple of tax returns that weren't quite what they appeared to be. And I don't know if you've been to markwhitney.com, but if you go to markwhitney.com, you'll see a memoir there called Fool for a Client. And it's about that one time, it was just one time, 30 years ago, when I defended myself in federal court facing 225 years in federal prison. And that's how I learned what I needed to learn to start the Law.net Corporation. I went to work in a prison law library for 10 cents an hour with a prison typewriter, and I spent 9 months, but I convinced Judge Stephen Breyer, who's now on the Supreme Court, to declare my prison term unconstitutional and order my immediate release. Yeah. Thank you very much. And so the processes I developed there are now used by attorneys throughout the country to help their clients. So before I wrap up, I just want to bring up a couple members of my team. We've got an amazing team. Boomer, you have a couple minutes? Boomer is the president of Whitney 2020 Inc. I think you all know Boomer Shannon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a big round of applause for Boomer.
Okay, Boomer. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very exciting campaign. I know I've spoken to a lot of you guys. I've been here for a long time. But I want to share with you guys a very quick story that really speaks to the heart of what's going on for Whitney 2020. When I was a young man, I was addicted to World of Warcraft. Anybody play World of Warcraft here? Got some people back there. I was addicted, right? It's a multiplayer online game, right? Where you have all these battles amongst other people. We had a game called Capture the Flag. And I like to think because of the way the servers were and the characters and the arrangements, the environment made me terrible. And you have to grind for gear over and over and over again. You have to keep moving forward to be able to be successful in the game, but you had to win battles to be able to get the token, to get the gear. A friend of mine and I were playing one afternoon, and we were getting our butts kicked. We were losing 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10 we were losing. And he goes, Boomer. I go, yeah. He goes, hey, I'm going to type something in the chat channel, and I want you to say, when I say win, I want you to say win. I said, well, what is that going to do? Why don't you just do what you're supposed to? Let's try a different strategy. Let's change our characters. Let's find some other reason why this isn't working. Typing into the chat channel is not going to help anybody. So he types something in there, I ignore it. He goes like, what the heck? Why not? And we argued for weeks. Every time he would type this thing in there, I would refuse to say it. One day he finally broke me down after weeks and weeks and weeks of complaining. I finally said, fine, I'll do it, whatever you want. And I noticed what he said. It said that he got to be the team leader, had a special colored text. And he goes, I'm not one to giving orders. I'm not much of one for giving orders. I'm just here to win. And my line was, win, right? So I type in win. But something amazing at that moment happened. I thought this idea was dumb. I had ignored it for weeks. But somebody else on our 10-man team decided they were also going to type win. Huh. What an interesting phenomenon. We had inspired somebody at that very moment. I didn't realize what it was going to mean for me in my game. But at that very moment, we inspired somebody. So we continued to play on. And before you know it, winning 7 out of times, which is a vast improvement to what we were doing. And then we were winning half the time. And then we were winning the majority of the time. We were winning 2/3 of the games. Our gear was getting better. Our clan was happy. Everybody was moving along. We were doing fine, and we were winning. Thank you. Sorry, a little conjugation there. Anyways, it'll be right. But just that changed, right? Every time somebody did something that we enjoyed, you get the flag, you get a win, right? If you got killed, right, and somebody said, "Oh, Boomer, you suck," you go win, 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 and it falls right off the end, right? So what we have with Whitney right now is really interesting. I really think that we have a win. Right here, right now. Let's try that again. I really think we have a win. Thank you very much. Because Mark brings a level of polish to the libertarian philosophy that we have not seen in a very long time in a presidential candidate. I've worked for the Libertarian for a very long time. I'm really impressed by his story. We have a lot of great candidates this year. I want you guys to consider looking at Mark. He's brand new to the field. This campaign is about 3 weeks old. We've got a great team. I really want you guys to consider Mark. We got a big party going on tomorrow night in 406. You guys are all invited. Please come by. We have a bathtub full of booze. You're going to have a great time. So come on by, 406 tomorrow night. Thank you guys very much. 403. I'm sorry, 403. But you guys, just like the win story, the only way that would have happened is if we had a team. I had my roommate at the time. I have a new team member now. I have a gentleman named Michael Pickens, who is our national campaign manager. He's the guy that's going to be chasing you guys. Give a round of applause, guys. Come on, come on. He's going to do a great job for us. He's going to give you guys a couple minutes.
There is in this world no greater force than the force of a man or a woman determined to rise. We are those men, we are those women, we are rising. Right? Look at the growth of this organization. 9 years ago, I was elected the Northern Vice Chairman of the Libertarian Party of California. 9 years ago, there were 40 people at this convention 9 years ago. Look at the growth, look around us. We've got a bunch of amazing candidates running for president. We've got a bunch of amazing candidates running down ballot. What I've learned in the past 9 years is that you've just got to take action. You've got to keep banging. You've got to keep talking to people, and eventually you will win. That's what we're going to do. Whoever gets the nomination, we are full bore after May going for that victory. Thank you.
So I'm gonna wrap this up. I just want to say something real quick. There's a group of libertarians that we need to honor who don't get enough recognition, and that is the worker bees who over the years have created a pipeline for libertarians to the White House, 50 state ballot access. Can we get a big round of applause for them? And I want to say to you what I said to my fellow candidates for president today at lunch. Okay? The Libertarian Party is not a third party. As it applies to the office of president, the United States is a three-party system with one pipeline to the Oval Office that we all have the same access to as Democrats and Republicans. And our opponents, the Republicans, are a cult of personality. The Democrats are a cult of no personality. The Libertarian Party is a cult of principles. And if I am your nominee, the day after the election, I am going to file with the Federal Election Commission to run again in 2024. And whoever from this group of candidates becomes the nominee, they will have my time, my money, my encouragement. I'm not going anywhere like some recent candidates. I am here in my 60s to serve this country and serve this party. Thank you very much, everybody. Very sharp.
All right, guys, how are you? All right. Good, that's what I want to hear. You know, it's funny. We're talking about all these candidates. I'm going to tell you a quick story. And I got people in the back who are having individual conversations again. And I have one more speaker, so I want you guys to give me a couple of seconds. Anybody in this room ever played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid? Yes? All right. I got a question for you. Anybody happen to remember the name? Guys, I'm up here. If you're going to have individual conversations, please take it outside. Guys, I am up here. Thank you. Up here. Thank you. Anybody happen to remember the name of the chief orcish god?
Grummish.
Grumsh, yes, very good. Grumsh is the actual name
I'm
of
not
the
proud of
chief
that.
orcish. You shouldn't be proud of that. It's embarrassing, you know, yes. But the most important piece about this is Grumsh would have one eye, and he would overlook all his orcish hordes. And when the orcish hordes would meet each other in the field, if they were different tribes, they would fight. They would fight each other, constantly fight each other. And Grumsh would say, "This is amazing. This is awesome. I'm so glad we're fighting, because as we fight, the weak get pushed aside, and the strongest orcs come to the top. Inter-fighting is amazing for us, and everyone does, and the orcs do all the time." You've all watched the movies, you've all seen the TV shows. Do the orcs ever win?
No.
No, Grumsh is an idiot. Grumsh is an idiot. This is a bad idea. Inter-fighting is not a good idea. We're not orcs. It's a bad idea. We shouldn't do it. We want to do what we're talking about now, which is be together, work together, and move forward, not like orcs, but by the cool guys. I don't know, dwarves or elves, whatever cool guys there are. We're going to move forward and make sure we do that instead. All right, there's someone else I want to bring up. In the idea of also unity and working together, is a gentleman who cares tremendously about the liberty movement, but not only in America. The guy who cares about the liberty movement, not only in America, but in other countries, specifically South American countries, Latin American countries. He's going to speak to you about that for a couple of seconds. The man, the myth, the legend himself, veteran, super cool guy, Zach Foster.
Oh, good Lord, Los Angeles rush hour, kill me now, oh God, Los Angeles rush hour. But I got here. All right, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for being here listening to me ramble. I'm Zach Foster, and I'm kind of the unofficial spokesman for the Cuban and Venezuelan libertarians. We do have libertarians behind the Iron Curtain. I'm giving an hour-long talk about them on Sunday, so I'm not gonna go too into detail today. Tonight, I want to talk to you guys about something special, something that affects a lot of people, something that affects our justice system, and something that all of us could take action to do something about. I've been talking with a number of Venezuelan refugees who are either residents in the United States or are seeking their residency, seeking asylum in the United States. And while about 100,000 of them have successfully made it through the process because they had sponsors, there are still 800 or 900 Venezuelans that are currently sitting in ICE detention camps and in federal prisons for the high crime of trying to live, trying to not die from communism, and trying to get to the United States so that they could get a job and function like a normal human being. And it really bothers me, number one, that our government seems to have turned its back completely against the Ellis Island principle on which our immigration policy used to be founded. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. Ladies and gentlemen, I am livid right now. I am absolutely livid because I gave 10 years of my life that I am never getting back to serving Uncle Sam in a uniform, to serving Uncle Sam's war machine. Because when I was 18 years old, I thought that I was helping keep everybody free. And instead, come to find, I gave 10 years worth of my labor to a government that on one hand, out of one side of its mouth will say, Venezuelans, we are with you. Everybody give Juan Guaido a round of applause. He is the best, he is absolutely fantastic, and yay, Trump Tower. And out of the other side of its mouth, that same government, as soon as Venezuelan refugees get to this country, they get locked up. And they get sent either to a detention camp or to a federal prison, whichever one is the closest. There are Venezuelan refugees inside this country who have cancer, who have other horrible illnesses that are preventable or treatable. They're going months at a time with no medical care because the administrators at their detention camp cannot be bothered. The official excuse is we just don't have the infrastructure for it. We don't have the judges and the doctors and the interpreters. So what we have now is refugees spending 9 to 12 months in prison before they get deported. Now, our government does not have relations with Venezuela, so they wait until Panama, El Salvador, Honduras will take them. Well, that's cool. That just means they can get killed by MS-13 once they get down there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can do something about this. This is election season. Let me see a quick show of hands if you have friends who are Republican. Let me see a show of hands if you have really good friends who are Republican, who will give you their time and listen to you. Cool. Two-pronged strategy to do something about this and try to bring this horrible, horrible system to light. Number one, I will be working with Venezuelans in this country who are legal because there's still visitation rights at these detention centers. So we are going to get the names of these judges who have been rubber stamping deportations, who will not even open the evidence folder with all the affidavits from back home explaining that this person is a refugee seeking political asylum because the communist dictatorship was trying to kill him. And that communist dictatorship has killed 100,000 people over the last year. So, if you have friends who are Republican, ask them to bother their Central Committee members. Everything from the county Central Committee to the state Central Committee to the Republican National Committee, every Republican elected official in their district, bother them. Let them know it is time that the GOP makes good on President Trump's promises to help the Venezuelan people. I'm not preaching that we go to war as the United States with another country. I am preaching that once again we take on huddled masses yearning to be free. Now what we as libertarians can do, we're not Republican. We don't have to keep President Trump's promises. We can take off the kid gloves. We can leak the names of these judges to the media. We can make them famous. We can shame them. We can shame them in their hometown, in their own neighborhood. We can make them ashamed that they lent themselves to this machine. You ever ask yourself, how did the Holocaust happen? How did the Holodomor happen? Because there were too many goddamn bureaucrats who made the bullshit excuse that I'm just doing my job. So, if that seems like it's doable, come talk to me and visit CubanLibertarians.org. Thank you, Erick.
All right, guys, there's something very important that went through all of those speakers, and that is a desire to raise money. And this Libertarian Party of California also has to raise money. There are outside, it's a silent auction outside, 2 amazing baskets for Valentine's Day. One of them is literally chai-infused vodka. Did I say it right? Vodka, is that right? For you, my Russian friends? Yes, chai-infused. You can be healthily drunk. Come on. So make your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, maybe both, this is libertarians, make them drunk and happy and healthy so you can have a great time. So please sign auction. We have them here. Here we go, right here. Look how beautiful that is. Please come by and donate. Oh, see, you're in trouble. She sees it. Yep, you're gonna be doing it. Yep, absolutely. And also, we have a local California winery who is very libertarian leaning. They help us out. They care about the party. Come by, make a bid, raise some money for this amazing party so we can keep doing what we're doing. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a great night.
So everybody was asking about the snacks. Yes, they have all kind of snacks here. Yes, I didn't come here for nothing. They definitely have snacks and everything else. And so yes, I want to. There's all this, and they got a whole. They had more snacks out here, but they cleaned them up. But I got a surprise for you guys. Since Vermin Supreme didn't get to talk, but he is here. He's back here. He's not wearing a boot, but he's here. The man with a beard. Hey, I bought everybody some toothbrushes. You want a toothbrush? Well, it's a law. You got to brush your teeth. It's a law. You have to. Everybody must brush their teeth. Everybody must brush their teeth. It's a law. Everybody must brush their teeth. You want a toothbrush? No. Here, Vermin Supreme, have a good one. This is Vermin Supreme. He didn't get to talk today, but maybe another day. All right, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. We'll do another one. 3, 2, 1. We'll do all 4 of you. Hey, can you get my son in my car? All right. You might take this for his brother? Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I'm here. No problem. I'll get into That's tall, right? Good. Yeah, I'm Erick the Goat Guy too. I'm Erick the Goat Guy on YouTube. Yeah. Erick. Hey, guys.
That's what I need, is one of those. I'm holding with my hand hurts.
I know.
Give me a toothbrush. See, Chuck, I need one of these. I know you have some at home. We just forgot them.
Yeah, see, this is easy. That way you don't have to have your...
I'm not like this. I'm like this.
Well, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Erick the Goat Guy.
Oh, hi, Erick the Goat Guy.
Will you help me rename the video when I get done?
Taxation is theft.
Oh, whatever.
Okay, what do you want me to rename it?
All right, 1 minute. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to be talking to people. I'm going to have this lady help me rename the video.
What should we rename the video?